Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
I'm doing well. This is our first meeting of the month, and all that snow really slowed us down.
It was so ridiculous. Even Seattle had snow, and I know Chicago was even worse, right? I'm so glad we can finally do this meeting.
100%. The start of the new year has been really slow, so let's get going.
Perfect. So let me start with where we're at. I'm going to start with what we established as Hyatt's strategic vision. Your vision is to drive long-term sustainable growth and create value for customers, colleagues, and shareholders. And you want to do this using three facets, mainly maximizing your core business, integrating new growth platforms, and optimizing capital deployment. Does this sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me kind of move on to the priority business goals and your needs. Yeah. So your number one goal was to grow 40% over the next few years. Your second goal was to use your upscale brands and really expand using new resorts such as Miraval and the Miraval Arizona Resort. And your needs kind of go in line with these goals exactly. In fact, you want to improve your margins, and you realize you need to invest in your guest experience in new growth platforms, and also you realize that you're vulnerable to differentiation and market saturation. And that's kind of where Starbucks comes in to help. But first, let me start with the purpose and value of today's conversation. You see, I want to go over Starbucks Food Service Solutions, our business proposition, and our marketing and logistics plan. I believe our recommendation can really propel Hyatt's capabilities. The hope is we can move forward and present this to the operations team and continue the conversation towards maximizing your business, a win-win partnership. So how does everything we've mentioned kind of fall in line with our past conversations?
That is spot on. As we've discussed, my team's really pressed, especially with competitors such as Airbnb and traditional hotels like Hilton. So you can imagine, I'm excited to listen.
That is perfect. So I'm just going to dive into our first, the business proposition. I'm glad I can envision Hyatt and Starbucks working together. Given everything I know about your group, the stakeholders, your demands, the various requirements, we suggest a 3-tier implementation plan of Starbucks food service supply chain over 2 years. The advantage of this would be the investment would be amortized over 10 years, and this would include 4,200 premium self-serve kiosks in 5 different setups for each and every brand, full stock supply chain resupplies of all products besides Teavana, to all food courts, rooms, and shared spaces, and a U.S. rollout in about 6 months, with international rollout in about 10 months. I know we'd kind of talked about this earlier, but these are the final numbers. Also, we'd also be rolling out our new Hyatt World of Hyatt partnership with Alaska Airlines and Microsoft. This would include 7 different options. And the benefit for Starbucks is the fact that we will assist you with offboarding, we will assist you with implementation. All of this at no additional cost, given the length of the contract. Operations will see an 18% cost improvement with distribution, as load is taken up those vendors, and co-packers, and is redirected. Additionally, outsourcing to all Starbucks logistics, will increase Hyatt's bottom line, the liquidity, 2.3% over the next 2 years. And all of this, plays into your long-term vision. All our hard work is finally paying off, right? So how do you think this business proposition will make sense to your operations team?
This plan is great, Alfred. Operations will appreciate the transition and offboarding services included in the contract. I would expect nothing less. That is why Starbucks is favored in the proposal.
Excellent. And that is a perfect segue. I'm glad we're on the same page. Now let's move on to kind of like the product and how this fits into your priority business goals. So here are kind of all the products we've been talking about, along with the partnerships we've presented. Starbucks Food Service Solutions has a vast array of products, from ground beans, Seattle Best Coffee, Teavana, packaged foods, and all of this, we know Hyatt customers will recognize the Starbucks brand and will demand the Starbucks brand. The advantage to you is that we're a full service solution that will allow Hyatt to tap into our brand goodwill and distribution and create custom-made services for your hoteliers and rewards members. Our partners also have the opportunity to leverage existing relationships, like we have acquired Keurig, and we've also had partners like PepsiCo in South America. And all of this will be accessible to your team. The benefit of this partnership for you particularly would be, the impact on operating margins and new channels for marketing. And your this would all complement your 40% growth plan. That's all this is focused on, right? Hyatt brands can modify product packages every 3 months, and so you can be adaptable to the market and what consumers are wanting. We've kind of discussed how this Hyatt measures business success, and I know this service can help you and your team. So how do you feel about our strategy right now?
Yeah, I understand all that, Alfred, but I'm skeptical about the implementation of an exclusive food service provider.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that
Right.
the fact that Hyatt Hotel has many vendors and providers has actually helped mitigate risk and diversify our options of products. How could one firm, Starbucks, outperform so many vendors?
Right, I totally understand your perspective. That's a great point. In fact, this further convinces me of your capabilities and diligence as a leader. In regard to your concern, I still think Starbucks food service solutions would be perfect. And I've actually brought along a report that kind of talks about the scale of our supply chain network. And you can kind of look over it, the highlights on the front page. But this report focuses on our college campus programs, which require hundreds of store locations and with huge surges in demand. So there's tens of thousands of people attending these colleges every day. And you can kind of see the impact of the supply chain, our supply chain reducing friction in their systems. So what do you think of the report?
Interesting. Wow, you have 80% of all large U.S. colleges under contract?
A lot.
That's impressive. Supply chains in the hospitality industry would resemble colleges in many ways, especially for big groups such as Hyatt.
Perfect. I'm so glad we're seeing the same things right now. That's great. Did I address your concern?
Yeah, you definitely did.
Perfect. Awesome. So now let's move on to the marketing plan. That's the next step, and how it fits into your priority business goal. In terms of the marketing plan, Starbucks has 29,000 locations with a proven supply chain and leading brand awareness. This includes just-in-time delivery, guaranteed delivery, and even access to our co-packers and design teams. The advantage to you is the fact that Hyatt brands would receive exclusive deals for our ready-made products, self-serve programs, and store credit for World of Hyatt. And that's an incredible incentive that would drive traffic into Hyatt hotel locations. We even have a transition and offboarding team to help you make your switch easier and cheaper. And Matt, the benefit for Starbucks, we want to highlight that. You explained to me that differentiation and innovation is one of your top priority business goals. And we believe having Starbucks as a premium supplier and partner would differentiate you from Hilton and Marriott that use various vendors and are notoriously inconsistent due to the scale of their firms. I know we discussed that that's one of your priority business goals, and the market is becoming more saturated. Your business goals are our priority. So what are your thoughts on the marketing plan, and in particular, implementation?
I love Starbucks, and I can see how you can help us. One thing that is deterring me, though, is the huge implementation and switching costs involved with offboarding all of our vendors and integrating the Starbucks supply chain. This would take months, money, and a lot of headaches.
Right, and I understand your concerns, Mark. Before we think about integration and offboarding, let's first imagine the end product of this investment. Today, you felt like Starbucks food service solutions would help you become more differentiated against Hilton and Marriott. And that being an exclusive provider would provide a lot of flexibility for the next 10 years. We also discussed the impact on margins and the world of Hyatt brand loyalty, which are both of your priorities. Would you say this is all true?
That's all true.
Yeah, and I understand integration and offboarding, is a long, important step towards ensuring business value. The long term, but we believe the long-term benefits will be worth it. So how does that sound to you?
Alfred, it is a royal pain, but I trust you. Let's move forward and see what we can do.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great to hear. So let me just kind of summarize everything we've talked about here today. Partnerships are your priority, and your goals are our priority. Starbucks food service will help Hyatt become more differentiated with new competitors in the market. As an exclusive provider, we provide massive flexibility and growth for the future, 10 years and beyond, And we've also discussed impact on margins, with an 18% cost improvement to distribution and 2% increased liquidity for Hyatt over the next 2 years with no additional costs for transitioning. How do you feel about our capabilities in proceeding with the recommendation?
It's amazing, actually. The capabilities you guys at Starbucks have, I must say, I had some doubts, but this is looking feasible.
Perfect. Then, the next step is to proceed to an offboarding meeting with the operations team. Are you comfortable with that?
100%, Alfred. You've been great. Let's get this moving to our operations vice president so we can get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark.